Hello everyone, today's post is just basically to celebrate an anniversary that happened yesterday that I didn't get a chance to post about. It was 7 years ago yesterday that I popped the question to the love of my life, Shelby. At this time and on this day 7 years ago, my then girlfriend Shelby and I were on a trip to Baltimore, Maryland. Now the pretense for this trip was to perform the national anthem at a Baltimore Orioles game at Camden Yards. And this would have been my third or fourth time performing for this organization, so nothing was out of the ordinary here. However, my intentions for this day were anything but ordinary. After dating for a few years, Shelby began to hint about wanting a ring on her finger. I always avoided this request with reasons why we could not get married yet, the largest reason being that I could not afford a ring. Soon after saying that, Shelby became enraged when I went out and bought a Nintendo Wii U unit video game system for a couple $100s. The fact that I could afford this system and yet not afford a ring enraged Shelby greatly. However, this was just part of my plan. A few months before the proposal, while visiting her parents in Des Moines, Iowa, Shelby, her mother, father, and I were browsing at a jewelry store that was having a going out of business sale. While in this store, they were offering unheard of discounts on engagement rings. Shelby's mother subtly gestured for her husband to pull out of the store and go elsewhere with Shelby. Following this, Shelby's mother was kind enough to offer advice onto what ring Shelby was looking for. I did not intend on buying a ring that day, but the bargain prices pushed the decision forward. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Shelby, and I already at that point knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. However, I did not know I was going to buy a ring that day, but I saw this as a golden opportunity for a person as broke as I am to buy the love of my life the ring she deserves. So I jumped in and bought the ring, and afterwards I knew I made the right decision. With the purchase of this ring, I now had the dilemma of how to bring it home without her knowing. At the time, I was a cigarette smoker, and since cigarettes were significantly cheaper in Iowa, I decided to buy a carton of cigarettes during the trip. This carton was now going to serve as my hiding place for the ring. So I slipped the precious ring into the carton, and though there was a bulge in the carton where the ring was, I felt it was the best hiding place for it. When we arrived back home in Astoria, New York, I pulled the carton out of my carry-on bag, and my heart literally sunk when Shelby walked in and said, "Why is there a bulge in your carton?" I simply replied with something like, "Oh, I crammed an extra pack of cigarettes in the carton." She accepted that answer and moved on, so phew. And now that I had the ring, the only question that remained was, how am I going to stage a proposal? Two options immediately popped up in my mind. The first was to propose while on an upcoming family trip to the island of St. Thomas. I looked into it, made some phone calls, and I only found that it would cost several $1,000s to arrange a private dinner for us on the beach where I could propose. But then I had another idea. Over the years of me singing the national anthem, I had developed a good rapport with the Baltimore Orioles organization, who invited me to sing on several occasions. Since our relationship was so good, I decided to ask the bold question as to whether I could do the anthem and then propose after. The production coordinator, who knew me for years, was still employed there in the same position, and after several emails back and forth with her, she confirmed that I could in fact do this, which was a great blessing. And so the date was set, August 17th, 2013, a proposal following the anthem. It is interesting to note that this date was only one day after Shelby's birthday. The planning began, and I would soon start to take trips from Astoria to my hometown to discuss with my mother all the details of the big day. I had to hide these trips from Shelby by telling her that I had doctor's appointments in Long Island. Having had to visit my mother several times, Shelby began becoming deeply concerned about my health while I had these several doctor's appointments. But my mother mentioned that I should rent a booth at the stadium, which was costly, and I was concerned about the cost of all this. But then she also went further to recommend that I provide food, drink, and a cake for Shelby's birthday for all the family in attendance. Altogether, with the ring expense and the price of the booth and food, I was overwhelmed at the cost of this all. I became despairing as to whether I could accomplish this despite my lack of funds. It was then that, like a saving grace, my mother comforted me with an option. My great-aunt Pauline, who has always been good to me and treated me well, and who passed away, unfortunately, years before, had left me with a large sum of money to be used for something special. My parents intentionally hid this money from me because they didn't want me to frivolously waste it on something silly, perhaps. I don't really know the reason why. But to the rescue was my angel of great-aunt Pauline, who intervened from heaven to finance this most special day of my life. After further planning and purchasing the booth and food, I was able to get both Shelby's family and mine to attend the event in Baltimore, which is an even greater blessing. Yes, the plans were shaping up to be one spectacular day. So I gave Shelby this story that she had to be on the field to take a photo with the mascot after my anthem performance. This fictitious photo with the mascot was only to provide a reason to get her on the field with me. After the anthem, I called Shelby over and held the ring tightly in my pocket, which you can see in the video. I did that frequently just to make sure that I actually had it with me. I would open it up and feel the ring inside several times just to make sure that it was there. So after the anthem performance happens, you'll see in the video, I called her forward and I reach out my hands to her in an unusual fashion, which she was very perplexed about. But when she finally came to me, I gave a little speech and got down on one knee. And at that moment, I remember hearing the crowd erupt in surprise, and I felt on top of the world. And she did say yes, which, as you all know, which I was very happy with and I was concerned about. And the rest is history, as they say. It was one of the happiest days of my life, and I look back on it warmly, and I look on it as being the beginning of one of the most rewarding journeys of my life. When I'm always feeling down or sad, I just watch this video and it picks me up and allows me to celebrate something that I've done with my life that helps me feel better when I'm feeling sad. But this was the start of a great journey for me. I was no longer just Mike, but I was becoming husband and then soon after father. And I started to feel that this was who I was meant to be, and everything that I've been searching for in life was coming to fruition. And through the years, as they pass, I've come to believe that God's plan for you is better than your own. And thanks be to God for this day. When I look back on this day, I feel more than nostalgia. I feel thankfulness and gratitude that everything worked out like it did. I couldn't have been more happier with my decision to propose to Shelby, and likewise, I couldn't have been more happy with how this whole day ended up. It was just a very special day for me. So I hope you'll share in that special day with me and take a look at these clips that I have and share in my joy, at least for a brief moment. I hope you enjoy these videos and join us in our anniversary celebration, 7 years now. And thanks be to God for helping us orchestrate this perfect day. I will hold it in my heart forever.
And that gentleman remove your hats as we welcome the 704th Military Intelligence Brigade from Fort Meade, who will present the colors for this evening's game. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we welcome Michael Freeze, who will now honor our nation with his rendition of our Star Spangled Banner.